Hey guys, Ramses here. I'm a Punisher main, currently in Celestial, and I thought I'd make a guide that can hopefully help you guys level up your game. Let me know in the comments what you thought of it. Let's get started. Alright, let's go over settings. First things first, make sure your sensitivity is comfortable but viable. Punisher is a tracking heavy character, so a good tracking sense is usually anywhere from 25 centimeters for 360 to 55 centimeters. If you aren't sure what your sense is in terms of centimeters per 360, just look up a sensitivity calculator and input your settings. My sensitivity on Punisher is right here. It's comfortable for me and it works, which is the most important thing. You could check out websites like prosettings.net to see what high-level players of other games use. Generally though, I would say to keep it somewhere between 25 and 55 centimeters per 360. And here are my video settings. Um, I'm colorblind, so I changed the color of the enemy outline to yellow so it can stand out more for me. This setting is just personal preference, so feel free to play around with it and find something you like. Alright, let's get into talking about Punisher now. First off, his turret. Using his turret optimally can make the difference between you having an ult for a big fight or not being anywhere near it when you need it. Your turret provides a huge amount of pressure and damage on the enemy team when you use it properly. Ideally, an optimal turret means you're landing all 200 bullets on the enemy team. So think of that as a goal whenever you're setting up. There is no damage fall off, which means you can set up at extreme distances and still get high damage out of it. I see a lot of lower level Punishers using their turret in the middle of the objective or in melee range of the enemy team. Sometimes there are scenarios where this is okay, but generally you want to avoid those types of turrets because they'll get taken out fairly quickly. The best kinds of turret placements include being on high ground, being at a far distance, and having a narrow lane or a choke point to shoot the enemy team through. High ground is important because it minimizes cover that the enemies can hide behind. It also keeps you safer because it's harder for the enemy team to reach you when you're above them. Make sure you press B or whatever the environment interaction keybind is so you could see the breakable environment. You don't want to set up wherever there is breakable terrain because it'll instantly cancel your turret if the floor beneath you breaks.
Look down, Punisher.
Like I mentioned before, there's no damage fall off while you're on your turret, so you could set up as far as you want and still get max damage on all of your turret bullets. Being far away makes it hard for the enemies to damage your turret, and if they want to dive you, they're going to have to overextend and put themselves in dangerous spots. Having a choke point to shoot through is going to make your damage numbers go up like crazy. The turret has explosive bullets, so you're pretty much cleaving the entire enemy team if they're being funneled through a choke where you have a turret set up. Some niche things with the turret: you can't be CC'd while in the turret. You can pop the turret to dodge things like Doctor Strange ult or Jeff ult when you see his circle spawn. Doing this trick on Jeff is actually a pretty big counter for him because you could kill him pretty easily with your explosive bullets while he tries to take your teammates that he ate off of the map. Overall, using your turret effectively is very important to keeping up your pressure as a Punisher. Now let's go over Punisher's utility abilities, his zipline and his smoke grenade. Punisher's zipline can be used from spawn to get back to the action quickly or to get out of a bad situation. You keep momentum if you jump off, so practice doing that to get some nice distance. I've used it to get away from Doctor Strange ults before, so keep it in mind when you're caught in a bad situation and you need to escape. There's some pretty good rollouts you can get from spawn, so just try different ones out, but make sure you're jumping off so you can keep the momentum. Punisher's smoke grenade is kind of the same use in that you can use it as an escape, but it's nowhere near as strong. It also does 45 damage, so you can get some nice kills with it when you're out of ammo. I honestly never used to use this ability until I saw that you needed to hit people with it to get the Lord icon, so I started using it on cooldown. The cool thing with it is that your passive activates when there's enemies in the smoke, so you can still see them and get some damage while you're obscured. Another way to use the smoke grenade is like a rocket jump. You can aim it straight down at your feet and jump at the same time, and you'll get some height and you can get in spots that you wouldn't be able to otherwise. One of my most used scenarios for the smoke is when my turret goes down. I immediately smoke grenade myself back to safety in the direction of my team. So make sure to keep it in mind when you need an escape or some small damage. Alright, now let's talk about Punisher's shotgun. In the right situations, it's pretty powerful, but if your enemies are out of range, you might as well just be shooting peas. The time to swap to your shotgun is pretty significant, so don't just be swapping willy-nilly. Make sure that the swap to your shotgun is going to lead to big damage. The way I like to think of it is prolonged duels versus short-term duels. If an enemy's jumping on you and instantly getting out like a Hulk or a Venom, then it's not really worth taking the time to swap to the shotgun. By the time you get it out, they're probably going to be out of your range by jumping out, which forces you to get back to your gun, and then they hop back in on you, and you see how this can go. This situation would be a short-term duel. Now compare that situation with a close-range team fight. This is pretty common occurrence, so this is a perfect situation to pull out your shotgun and just go crazy. The big trap I see a lot of Punishers fall for is taking out the shotgun and trying to run down or chasing enemies when they aren't engaged in a fight. If you're familiar with boxing, it's like starting a combo with an uppercut. The uppercut is a powerful tool, but when you lead with it, you expose yourself to your opponent. It's the same thing with the shotgun. When you run at the enemy when they can get away from you, you're just exposing yourself and you're not really presenting a threat. You want them to come to you. So try to have max uptime with whatever weapon you have in your hands, whether it's your rifle or your shotgun. Every shot needs to be hitting something at its optimal range. Alright, let's talk about Punisher's ult. At first glance, it could seem underwhelming when compared to other strong ults in the game that can one-shot through support ults. But when used properly, it can be a game changer. There's a few conditions you want to meet before ulting to make sure that you can get some value out of it. First, you want to make sure the other team doesn't have a support ult ready. Pretty much every support ult can just heal through raw Punisher ult damage, so you'll just be wasting it. I'm actually not too sure about Mantis' ult though, so you might be able to kill through hers if you're just landing headshots, so try it out. Another condition to meet is ensuring the enemy team is shootable. What I mean by that is that they need to have minimal cover available. Preferably no shields, no escape abilities, no bubbles, and best case scenario, they're committed to fighting. So usually in a game, I'll keep track of when the enemy Magneto has used bubble, or when the Strange's shield breaks, or when Hulk uses his bubble. Being shootable also means that they aren't able to easily run behind cover or disengage from your ult back to safety. You want them to be committed to the objective or committed to a team fight. So when you ult, they're forced to deal with it by either dying or focusing all of their attention on you. Punisher's ult has a really iconic voice line, and most people by now are conditioned to know what it means and what to do. They're all going to focus you to try to kill you, and they're all going to dump ults on top of your head. Magneto ult can instantly blow you up. Namor ult is easily landable on you. Moon Knight's ult is instantly landable on you, and you'll die pretty easily because you can't move. You're so slow. You can't be CC'd while in your ult, so you can actually use it to dodge a Strange or a Jeff ult, which can be huge. Just be aware that you put a massive target on yourself when you ult. So you want the enemy team to have no escapes, no way to kill you, and no way to heal through your damage. Another condition you can watch for is comboing your ult. Look at your own team and see if any teammate is holding an ult or is close to an ult that can complement yours. For example, comboing Punisher ult with a Luna ult when she goes on damage boost, it can let you kill enemies through their own support ults. You can get creative here, but make sure that the previous conditions I mentioned are being met. Now, last thing I want to mention here is that getting headshots while you're ulting can make the difference between getting a kill or letting them get away. So try your best to aim for the head. I'll touch more on Punisher's ult in the next section. Alright, let's talk about the Rocket team up. I've played a lot of games with one of my buddies who's a Rocket main, so we've been able to try out different things and see what works. To maximize the value from this team up, you have to be rotating your cooldowns. What I mean by that is first, start an engagement by using the Rocket's infinite ammo. Getting that on cooldown first is important because it's a pretty short cooldown, and it also lets you have insane kill potential if you're hitting your shots. This is another spot where aiming for the head comes into play, so make sure you're going for that. Once the infinite ammo ends, you want to try to get into a good turret spot. If you can get all 200 bullets of your turret hitting the enemy, you're going to be really close to ult at this point. Those two cooldowns provide windows of huge pressure and kill potential. Make sure you aren't using infinite ammo and turret at the same time. You basically want to keep rotating those two cooldowns until you and Rocket both have ult. One of the major strengths that this team up has is that you can combo ults and get kills through enemies' support ults. You can do this reactively by waiting for an enemy heal ult to come out, or proactively by just ulting and then Rocket can do his ult if an enemy support ults. And then you can get kills through that. When trying to kill an enemy through their support ult, you have to aim for the head. It increases your damage by a ton, and it's going to help ensure you get the kill. If for some reason you don't have ult ready when Rocket does, you should let him know to hold his infinite ammo buff for when he ults. I consider Rocket ult plus the infinite ammo to be kind of a budget Punisher ult, because you can still get kills on ulting enemy supports if you beam their head, and you present huge kill potential. So major things to remember here are cycle your cooldowns and combo your ults. Alright, let's get into Punisher's game plan. What should you be doing as a Punisher and why? Punisher's big strength is consistent damage from range. You want to be set up in your team's backline, shooting at the enemy team front to back. If you've played games like League of Legends, you're probably familiar with that term. But if you haven't, it basically just means attacking the enemy team from the front and working your way towards the backline. So shooting the tanks first, and once they go down, you shoot the people behind them. Punisher's constant damage can keep a Doctor Strange shield almost permanently broken, and Groot walls can be taken down almost immediately after he places them. If you're hitting headshots as Punisher on tanks, you're going to be surprised how quickly they go down. Punisher's biggest counter is Magneto, because his shield has no HP, just a timer. He can eat all of your bullets regardless of how much damage you're doing. And that's not to mention his ult being able to completely shut yours down, and his ranged attacks pressuring you wherever you are. Other than Magneto though, pretty much every tank will be suffering versus a Punisher. Thor has no shield, so you'll just be hitting raw flesh. Hulk only has a bubble, which you can pop pretty fast and melt him. Strange's shield is easily broken. Groot's walls are easily broken. Captain America can run around, but you can break his shield pretty easily too. Venom is probably the second most annoying besides Magneto, but all he really does is survive a long time, and then he can get out. So he has no real kill potential on you. Penny is a free kill, because she has no way to stop your bullets. If the enemy team has a Magneto and he knows how to pressure you though, life will get rough. Playing front to back is not the only thing you can do. If the enemy backline is exposing themselves or not playing properly behind their tanks, you can beam them down in one clip if you're landing headshots. I love getting picks like this, because it forces the enemy team to start respecting you and play more defensively, which in turn creates space for your team. Punisher should also be looking to shoot Loki clones and his runes, Namor's squids, Magic's demons, and of course Groot walls. All of these objects can be hard for other characters to break, but since Punisher has high constant damage and he reloads pretty fast, breaking them takes minimal effort and keeps your uptime on your damage high. Think of how hard it would be to break any of those objects as a Bucky, who only has 3 shots in his gun. It's way easier for the Punisher to do it. As Punisher, you should always have the highest damage numbers in the lobby. You provide constant pressure to the enemy team with your turret, your gun, and if you have a rocket, your infinite ammo. Cycling through these is going to get you ultimates really fast, which forces the enemy tanks and the enemy supports to use resources to deal with you. If you live through the tank ults or get kills through the enemy support ults, think of how much value that's creating. You pretty much nullified an enemy ult, and your teammates can save their own ults for next fight. Overall, I think Punisher is a pretty good pick this season, especially when paired with a rocket. With no rocket on his team though, or when facing a Magneto, things can get pretty tough. If you made it this far through the guide, I appreciate you more than you know. Let me know in the comments if you learned anything, and if you enjoyed the video, make sure to subscribe here and follow me on Twitch. Thanks for watching.